How's it going, Laser Bruce? Up, I'm Sixkilla. Welcome back to Return to Shironagasu. Well, what a fantastic screen to start on, isn't it? Brilliant. Just a taste of what's to come. Anyway, we're talking to... Jesus, I've forgotten your name. Alex. For some reason, we can ask her why she's dressed like a man. But we also get her testimony about Thomas's murder and about Raymond's murder, I presume. Because we're in Chapter 5 now. We are heading towards the end like a motorboat. Moving like lightning. Why are you dressed like a man? So you came to this island pretending to be a man. Why'd you do that? I hid the fact that I was going to this island for my family, because I often went to social gatherings. I was afraid they would become suspicious if I used my real name and didn't disguise myself. So you changed your name and appearance. So what's your real name? Lily Alexandria Werner. I see, Lily. Your middle name is Alexandria, which is where Alex came from, right? Only my relatives know my middle name. I was afraid I'd be found out if I chose an entirely new name, so I went with Alex. My grandmother used to call me that. I'll keep your real name a secret. I'll continue to call you Alex, at least until we get off the island. Thank you, I appreciate that. But you can continue to call me Alex, even if we escape. Alright, Alex. More? You played the part of a man very well. It's weird to be complimented like that, but I'm glad I pretended to be a man. Actually, I had met Akira a couple of times before. That was quite some time ago. She doesn't seem to remember it right now. That was a close call then. If Akira notices that you're a woman, your cover will be blown. That's why I don't want to talk too much to her. If she asks too many questions, she might realize who I really am. That's why I didn't stay in your room when I came back here. I don't want to be around her. It certainly would be risky. If you would spend a lot of time together in a room, she might notice something about you. If she saw me like you did earlier, my life would be over. But I didn't expect you to be spied on in my own room, though. No, wait a minute, I didn't mean to spy on you. Don't get angry, it wasn't on purpose. But it's true, I can't trust a shady detective like you. Hey, why are you being so hostile to me? My reputation might not be so sparkly clean, but that can't make you hate me that much. Is there any particular reason? There's no particular reason, but I read bad things about you in the newspapers. Alex, do you really believe those lies? You've seen what I did, right? What you did was spy on me. Looks like I've hit a nerve. I guess I don't think you're as bad as the newspapers make you out to be, but I'm still keeping an eye on you. Well, I'll just have to gain your trust then. There's more? Okay, good. Thomas's murder. Alex, could you tell me about what you were doing before Thomas was murdered? Before Thomas was murdered? Let's see. Abby the maid told me that the meal was ready, so I just went to the dining hall. Could you tell me a little bit more about that? For example, were the iron doors at the bridge open or closed? Can you remember? The iron doors? I believe they were closed. I remember that the wheels were so heavy that my fingers hurt. I see, so they were closed. Did you stop anywhere else on your way there? I didn't. I went straight to the dining hall. You entered the dining hall after Giselle, didn't you? I think so. I recall that Akira and Giselle had arrived before me. Did you notice anything else? Like something unusual in the corridor, or on the bridge? Like an incendiary device, or a device that you didn't recognize? An incendiary device? No, I don't recall there being anything like that in particular. I think if I'd seen an incendiary device and recognized it as such, I probably would have told someone, I would imagine. The corridor and the bridge were exactly the same as before. Oh, but the bridge was still very wet. So wet I was afraid I might slip. Nothing unusual, huh? In other words, the killer planted any devices after Alex had gone to the dining hall. Was that helpful in any way? Yeah, it was. The more information I get, the further the mystery deepens. Now, I'm sure one of the guests is lying. If I proceed with my investigation, I'll definitely uncover the truth. Is there more? I also want to know more about what happened after Thomas's body was found. Even small details matter. When Thomas's body was found, I was on the bridge. Akira and Giselle went back to their rooms first, so I thought that perhaps I should wait a while before returning to my room. I didn't want to run into Akira, so I left the hall with Rail after Jacob. That was when I found out about the murder. That's all I remember. Did you see anything strange, no matter how trivial? I was quite upset at the time, so I'd probably have overlooked anything unusual. I'll come to think of it. You told me to look after Neneko then. So I was with her the entire time. How was Neneko doing at that time? Her face was pale, her long black hair was very messy, and she smelled a little bit sad. Smelled a little bit sad? She was like a debilitated animal. I couldn't hear it well, but she was whispering something. I see. Alex also doesn't mince words. Do all billionaires behave the same way? Oh, come to think of it, someone told me that the stone bridge was warm at the time. Did you notice anything? The stone bridge? Come to think of it, it certainly was. I felt it when I was looking after Neneko. But it was only for a moment. Besides, everything was so confusing, so I thought I just imagined it. So the bridge was warm after all. There has to be a reason for that. Does that have anything to do with Thomas's murder? Of course it does. He was burned to death. I don't know right now. But I don't think it's just a coincidence. There has to be a reason for it. If one of the guests is the killer, then who could it be? Can you tell me exactly what happened when you saw the demon of Shironagasu Island? That thing? Ugh, my knees are still shaking. When I was taking a shower... Hey, no funny thoughts, you hear? Wasn't having any, you were saying? While I was taking a shower, I looked out of the window. It was so dark I could hardly see anything outside except for the moonlight reflected off the rolling waves. Suddenly that creature appeared in front of me. It was upside down too, like a lizard sticking to a window, and those big eyes stared at me. That was when I screamed. I immediately crawled out of the bathroom. After a while I decided to peek into the bathroom and the monster was gone. When I finally calmed down I thought that I could have been imagining things, but it was so real. As I was thinking about what to do, a peeping Tom appeared. A peeping Tom? Who could that have been? Are you serious? Ha! What, no sense of humour? I should tone my sense of humour down. She might kill me otherwise. Pervert. No one's ever seen me in my underwear except you. Was it as good for you as it was for me? Is what I must not say out loud, otherwise it'll be a third murder. Well, anyway. that was when I saw the creature. That was very helpful. Don't say doing your wife, don't say doing your wife, don't say doing your wife. Doing your son? However, that means the monster is still somewhere around the building. Don't say that. I can't even imagine. Nanako also said that she saw the demon of Shironagasu Island in her room. It hasn't touched any of us though. So what does it want? Does it just run around scaring people? It behaves as if it's looking for something. Looking for something? I'm not sure, but it's possible. Perhaps it received an order to find a target and then liquidate that person. Do you mean it's trying to kill someone? Then it's dangerous. Calm down, it's only a guess. But I think there's a purpose behind its behavior. We should gather in one place and prepare for the worst, like you said. I'm really scared. You're right. You want to talk about... No, I don't want to talk about that again. The bigger picture is gradually becoming clearer, as I've been able to gather a lot of information already. When you find out who killed Thomas and Sir Raymond, what are you going to do? To be honest, I haven't decided yet, but under these circumstances, I'll have to ask for their help. I don't know if they'll cooperate with us though. As Jacob said, the killer might not listen to reason. I just hope we don't all get killed. Yes, hopefully this killing spree has already ended. I doubt that. Anyway, have you decided what you're going to do next? I'll change into male clothes and then head to your room. I'm a bit nervous being around Akira, but in that case I'll go back to my room now. I'm also a little bit worried about Neneko. Will you be alright by yourself for a short while? I'm only changing my clothes, so I guess I'll be fine. I'll head out as soon as I'm ready. Just let me know if anything goes wrong. Scream like you did earlier and I'll run to you. I should be able to hear your voice. Thanks, I'll be fine. Come to think of it, yeah? Earlier, after we were shown to our rooms, I tried to talk to you, didn't I? Oh yeah, I believe you did. What was that about? Actually, shortly after I was shown to my room, I heard some kind of moaning coming from the hallway. It was so quiet that I thought I was imagining things, so I tried to ask you about it. Right, I couldn't talk to you at the time because of a really stupid emergency. Very quiet moans, huh? To tell you the truth, I also heard something like that. A moaning so quiet that I thought I imagined it. Could this be connected to the murder? Maybe. I'll try to figure out what it was. If you remember anything else, please let me know. Yes, alright. By the way, I don't know if I should ask you this, but is dressing like a man difficult? Well, it certainly takes a lot of time. I put shoulder pads on my jacket to make me look like a man as much as possible. Also, I have to act like one. I see, it certainly appears to be a hassle, especially when you have to flatten your chest as much as possible, or people will find out you're a girl. That must be hard, right? Huh? Alex appears to be upset. Did I say something wrong? No, I don't think I did. It didn't have to do anything about my chest. What? No, you're kidding. If you don't flatten your chest, people will find out you're a girl. Maybe you have some tricks up your sleeve, am I right? Well, I didn't do anything to my chest, but nobody noticed anything. This shady detective really says interesting things. You don't say. Is Alex that flat-chested? To be honest, I didn't think her breasts were that large in the first place, but she could pretend to be a man without having to do anything about her chest. Oh boy, this is bad. Get out, scumbag detective, get out! I'm forced out with a strong push. Guess I had that coming. They say that being a woman's not easy. I'll keep that in mind. Anyway, I found out what that scream was and I heard Alex's testimony. I should hurry up and return to my room, otherwise Neneko's gonna die of shock. It's me, I've solved the mystery of the scream. Are you alright? I'm coming in. Where's Neneko? Neneko, are you hiding? I'm here. Why are you in such a cramped space? Ikeda, you just took your sweet time. You gotta be kidding. I was just beginning to think about good ways to kill you. I know I took my time, don't be so angry. I had no choice. Taking you with me would have been much more dangerous. What if I was killed in this room? Well, I'll complain about that later, so what was that scream? That scream, that was just my imagination. What? That's not true, I heard it too, you said so yourself. Let's just pretend that that's all it was for now. The scream itself has nothing to do with our current situation, and it wasn't a big deal either, so just forget about it for now. I won't be able to understand why unless you let me know what happened. I guess I promised you that. I'll tell you about it when we get off the island safely, alright? I don't like this one bit, well, as long as it wasn't anything important, but still. Did anything strange happen in there? For instance, something strange appearing outside? I didn't see anything like that. I've been here for a long time, and I've only been looking at the ground. I wouldn't know if there was anything strange. Anyway, don't talk about such scary things. I guess it's okay to rest a bit for now, but I better be on my guard. Alex saw the creature after all. I wonder if Akira and the others are alright. If someone was screaming on the second floor, I would be able to hear them from here. The phone. It's probably Akira. Probably. Ikeda speaking.
Judging from the steadiness of your voice, you've managed to calm down after your earlier misadventures.
A heavily distorted voice. This can only be one person. Is that you, wizards? I was waiting for you to call again.
I would like to suggest an exchange of information. I want to know about everything that happened underground, not just the vague details that you gave the others. Tell me and I'll give you some useful information in return.
Darn, what useful information. Wizards won't reveal their identity, but I have an idea who they might be. I'll just have to flush them out myself. I pressed the mute button on the phone. Why did you shout out of the blue, you idiot? Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Shh, be quiet, don't make a sound. Once Neneko has flushed your little tantrum, I unmute the phone. Wizards may have noted that the audio was muted, but they probably won't know what I just did. I'm sure they'll say, I couldn't hear you on the phone. Hey Wizards, let's stop playing games. I can't trust you if you continue to hide your identity like this. The way things are going, we're all going to become fish food.
As I said before, a relationship is only mutually beneficial when our interests coincide. I'll not become more involved than I have to.
You're quite obstinate. Maybe I should just reveal your identity.
Are you threatening me? Are you saying that you refuse to cooperate with me?
I didn't say I wouldn't cooperate with you. I'm just saying I don't want to have a one-sided relationship. Trust is built on equal footing. I don't think our current relationship is very healthy.
Here's what I believe, and it concerns you as well. If my identity is revealed, something bad will definitely happen to you. And of course, to that sweet girl as well.
Well, it appears that we're in an impasse. My answer won't change, Wizards. I'll reveal your identity. I will be the one making our next phone call.
This is my final warning. Do not attempt to reveal my identity.
So selfish. Looks like I need to take care of this issue first. Neneko, I want you to find out who Wizards is. Time to use your abilities. I don't know, should we do that? They must have their reasons for not revealing their identity. An undercover investigator? A killer? A mysterious monster? What the people from the mansion are trying to do? Everything is unclear. I have to at least uncover something. I have to solve those mysteries one by one. For starters, I want to know who Wizards is. I'm sure they've left some clues. We'll just have to use those to discover their identity. Clues? Were there any? First, take a look at this. Is this a list of suspects? But why are there so many names on it? Why am I also on there? Beginning by narrowing down the suspects from scratch is an ironclad rule. In fact, I've had several cases where someone least expected was the culprit. In that case, I don't mind being on the list, but you also included yourself, Thomas, who is dead by the way, and even Aurora, who doesn't even exist. Any possibility is worth considering no matter how absurd it may be. Alright, so who do you think Wizards is? I've narrowed it down to quite a few people, but they still don't have anything conclusive. They've covered their tracks well. Considering the points and time when Wizards contacted you, several people can be excluded. And also, why'd you suddenly scream so loudly? I wanted to see if I could hear my voice on the other side of the line. So did you hear anything? Strangely, I could not hear my voice on the other side. That means they're probably far away. I see. This will narrow down the list of suspects. However, it isn't decisive. Also, what does Wizards mean in the first place? Perhaps it doesn't mean anything in particular. It could just be a codename. Maybe. No, I heard them pause briefly when I asked them to give me a call sign. I think they probably came up with that in the spur of the moment. In other words, the name Wizards is not their regular code name. Then how'd they come up with the name? Wizards as in sorcerer. But isn't it kind of weird that the name is a plural? Wizards, not wizard? Neneko, does wizards ring a bell? Top level hackers are referred to as wizards. There's also an NBA team called the Washington Wizards. Also, it's not exactly the same word, but there is a Winter Hills mountain range in New Zealand. Wither Hills. Is there? There's also a brand of white wine called Wither Hills. A wine brand? Is it a well-known brand? No, it's not very popular. It's not expensive either. It's just a regular wine brand. Wither Hills. They must have thought of something then came up with wizards. Perhaps they unconsciously use words of things or places close to them. Is that an important clue for uncovering their identity? So what's the name based on? Sorcerers, hackers, wine, the NBA? No, wait, maybe... Do you know who Wizards is? Well, I mean, Jacob's obsessed with wine, right? If my power of deduction is correct, then... Who of these people is Wizards? Tell me. Won't be Curator. Won't be Neneko. Won't be Aurora. Almost certainly wouldn't be Giselle. It can't be Thomas. Abigail and Vincent is unlikely. It wouldn't be Alex because Alex is on the same floor as us, so we can write Alex off. Pretty much narrows it down to Akira, Giselle, and Rael. It wouldn't be Giselle, right? Because it'd be Akira. If it was Giselle, then it would be Akira telling her to do it. She just does whatever she tells her. She's her servant, right? So, it's pretty much Akira or Rael. Rael's the only... I mean, we know Akira well, but Rael's sort of like... a mystery element. Let's go with Rael. These two are both on the second floor, as far as I'm aware. They're the only ones that you can really narrow it down to. It's one of these two, I reckon. Rael. I put it Rael's name. Rael? Well, it could be possible. Rael's an undercover investigator. Rael may very well be Wizards. Given the circumstances and the content of the conversation, it's unlikely that you, me, the people from the mansion, Thomas, or Aurora are Wizards. Well, that's true. She would also hate you for naming you. No, she would think you have brain damage. Now, considering the loud scream I just made, that leads me to exclude one more person. Alex, right? Ah, yes, what was that all about? A loud voice that comes from the room on the first floor can't be heard by people on the second floor. On the other hand, everyone on the first floor can hear it. But I could not hear the scream on the other end of the telephone. Which means Alex, who's on the first floor, can't be Wizards. So the only ones that remain are Akira, Giselle, Rael, and Jacob. That's what I thought too. Of course, it can't be Akira either. If some Wizards called me, she was in the bathroom with you. So she can't have called me. You mean when that hentai pervert was peeking at us? She was in the bathroom with me, so Akira can't be Wizards. I didn't do that on purpose. You're not going to let me forget about that anytime soon, are you? Anyway, it can't be Akira. So Akira said that she would go back to her room with Giselle. If Giselle and Akira were in the same room, it would have been difficult for Giselle to call me. Yeah, those two are always together, so it'd be difficult for Giselle to call you for a long period of time. In that case, there are two suspects left, Jacob and Rael. Jacob and Rael. Could it really be Rael? I didn't think it could be Jacob, because Jacob did ring us once, but he used his own name. Why would he do that and then change it to some code name later? Because there's no way that the alcoholic is an undercover investigator. Hey, we should let go of any preconceptions. We should consider the possibility that Jacob is Wizards as well. Even so, can we narrow it down any more? It'd be better to talk to them directly. I call Rael. Hello? It's me, Ikeda. I'd like to talk to you. Do you have a second? Hi, Ikeda. Did you find out where the scream came from? Of course I have a moment to talk. What is this about? I'd like you to come to my room, just you alone. Would that be alright? Yes, but what's going on? Not knowing the details scares me. I'll tell you when you get here. I appreciate it if you could come as soon as possible. Alright, I'll be there in a bit. I'll be waiting. Accusing Rael all of a sudden is risky. What if you're wrong? In that case, I'll just apologize. Don't you feel any sense of guilt? She may become terribly upset. Kira, it's me. Can I come in? Yes, please come in. The door's unlocked. Hello, Kira. What do you want to talk about? Also, why do you want to talk to me alone? What's going on? I want to ask you a few things. Rail, you're wizards, aren't you? Wizards? What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're trying to say. Okay, well, I tell Rail what I've deduced. The people who are excluded and the people who are unlikely to be wizards. However, I try to avoid talking about what happened with Alex as much as possible. With this information, I've narrowed down the list of people who could be wizards to 2. Jacob and you. So who of you two could wizards be? I took a close look at the name wizards. It's strange that this is the plural form of the word wizard. Perhaps this comes from an important information about wizard's identity. So what could that be? Is there something that further narrowed it down? What about the Wither Hills white wine brand? I continued Neneko's muttering line of thought. Yes, it's a possibility. It's possible that Jacob based that name on a wine brand. But Jacob is a picky guy and prefers high-end wine. He would have used the name of a more exclusive winery, not a supermarket one. So let's look at the second possibility. The NBA team, the Washington Wizards. It's a basketball team from Washington, and I remember one of the guests talking about Washington before. Ah, that's right. Rail said that she's an internist from Washington. Exactly. Undercover investigators usually use the place they're from in their backstories to ensure there aren't any slip-ups during their mission. Because if they say the wrong things about a place that they don't know, people who are familiar with the place might blow their cover. So perhaps your place of birth really is Washington. Therefore, when you tried to come up with a code name, you thought of Washington, and the name popped into your head. That means you've revealed your identity by telling me what city you're from. Hey, wait just a minute, can I say something? Even if you really believe that I'm wizards based on that information, isn't that rather flimsy proof? You also can't discount the possibility that Jacob wanted to make me look suspicious. No, it took wizards only a second to come up with that name. Jacob couldn't come up with that in such a short time. Even if he could have done so, why would he use the name of an NBA team? Most people wouldn't associate Washington with basketball. Also, I have conclusive evidence that proves that you're wizards. Conclusive evidence? Didn't you notice that I muted the phone for a moment when you called earlier? When I muted, I asked Neneko to call the guest phones from Alex's room. The only person that was in use was the one in your room. Isn't that funny? Only wizards and I were using our phone. If your phone was in use, who were you talking to? No room phones were being used except for yours and mine. The phone in my room? You must be mistaken. Stop playing innocent. The gig's up. You might as well drop the act, wizards. Huh. So that's why you muted your phone. I've been played like a fool. But I remember clearly asking you not to reveal my identity. So you are wizards after all. Actually, I wasn't sure that it was you until now. Sorry. Looks like you admitted a little bit too soon. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Calm down and think about it. Do you really think I could have asked Neneko to go to Alex's room all by herself to call all of the phones? There's no way she would have done that. Why do I feel totally useless right now? But now that you mention it, I don't think I would have done that. You were bluffing? And I believed you? No do-overs, I'm afraid. Sorry I had to fool you. But I'm glad you revealed your true identity. However, wizards, we have to be on equal ground. You're going to be kidding me. Fine, you bested me. Alright, I'll talk. I'll need a stiff drink first, though. I got a really good whiskey earlier. Let's have a glass of that. Slante, wizards. You're bloody annoying, Sixkilla. Yeah, I hear that a lot. Yeah, we do, actually. And that we're a pervert. We hear that a lot, too. Are you sure this whiskey isn't poisoned? I got this whiskey before the people of the mansion became hostile to us, so don't worry about it being poisoned. But you know, Raoul, you're pretty rough around the edges. Shut up, who cares about my personality? If you have something to ask me, just ask. But you should understand there are certain things I can't tell you. So what organization do you belong to? CIA? MI6? As I said, there are things I can't talk about. I can't just tell you who I work for, moron. No, I understand, alright. I won't ask again. How did you manage to get on the guest list? You made your way into this island using an invitation sent to someone else, didn't you? More of those subjects I really can't talk about. But alright, yes, my invitation was originally sent to someone named Sean Baxter. He was knee-deep in problems, and we managed to ensnare him. We wanted to send an undercover investigator to the island, so I cut a deal with him and became his representative. He ended up being hospitalized with a sudden illness. I see. However, the people working in this mansion are quite cautious. It would be difficult to convince them that you're a relative of one of the guests. Who are you really? I wasn't lying when I told them I was an internist at Washington. Of course, I'm not doing that work anymore. And I only worked as an internist for about a year. What kind of reputation did you have as an internist? What? Why are you asking that? Nothing out of the ordinary. I see. Well, with her personality, it wouldn't surprise me if she had a bad reputation. Huh. Why am I really annoyed with you right now? It's my face. Wizards. It's a rather strange alias. Are you a basketball fan? When I was a student, I used to play basketball, so yeah. I shouldn't have chosen a word associated with Washington. But most people would not associate wizards with Washington. Yeah, most people wouldn't, but don't forget that someone rather special made the connection. Ninako Izumazaki. She possesses such a unique ability. Yet she can't utter a single word without tripping over her tongue. What? What do you mean to me? However, Rael, you weren't the only guest with a medical background. Is it difficult to deceive others without having the knowledge of an active physician? I was planning to brush up on my studies so I wouldn't be exposed. However, knowing too much is not good either. It's easier to play the part of an ignorant little woman than an outstanding doctor. I see. This is very important. Could you tell me about your weapons and skills? I have a Glock 30 with 3 spare magazines. That's the only gun I brought with me. Close quarters martial arts, hacking, sabotage skills and so on. I've trained in almost everything. Looks like you could come in handy then, although you're not very well armed. Don't be silly. I plan to use a Glock 42, which has an even smaller magazine size, and I'm quite familiar with it. I didn't expect a large battle to happen, and only planned on using a gun in emergencies. Unfortunately, it looks like a large battle is about to happen. I'm glad there aren't many people from this mansion, but I'm rather worried about that monster. It's a humanoid biological weapon developed for the military. I haven't had a chance to face it myself yet. I don't think we can easily neutralize it. Neneko, what impressions did you have when you saw it? Don't remind me of that all of a sudden. Let me see, as far as I can tell, its movement seems slow, but I can't say anything because it might not have shown its true power yet. In other words, you know nothing, Neneko. That's pretty useless. I was in a tough spot, you know. Don't bully her like that. Anyway, if it bleeds, we can kill it. We should be prepared to fight at any time, though. Alright, I just hope it won't come to that. That report I read was pretty scary. Are we really going to be alright? You're pretty nosy, aren't you? As I said, I'm not at liberty to tell you anything else about my background. Ray, what do you know about the island? Sorry, I don't know that much. Of the 3 other investigators who infiltrated this place so far, 2 have disappeared. The only one who's returned was not able to discover any detailed information about the island. We found out so far, though, that this is a base for prostitution, organ trade, and some kind of weapon development. Sounds like you have more than enough information to blow the lid off this place, so why haven't you? Many well-known politicians and business people have frequented this island, so we can't expose the actual state of things here in a usual way. Besides, we're after this island's research and development. We're not that interested in prostitution and the trade of organs. So you need to verify the information that has been gathered so far. If your superiors discovered that this is a biological weapon, and if this biological weapon was being developed on the island, what would they do? Something smells fishy. They're hiding something, aren't they? To be honest, I have my doubts as well. Hang on, this is classified information. I can't talk about this, or else I'll jeopardize my position. Don't worry, there's no way that information could leak out in the first place. This is only conjecture, but perhaps one of our superiors is one of the island's clients, who also knew about the island's research. That's what I've been thinking. I see, in other words, the superior who's seen the research wanted to obtain the technology by any means necessary. However, if he revealed any of the details, it would be obvious that he was a client of the island's other services. So he made up stories about weapons of mass destruction so that your organization could have a reason to seize and obtain the biological weapon. It's just an educated guess, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. But if so, I'm just a pawn used to satisfy someone else's greed. I'm really fed up. I can't understand that. Why do you get a new job? I'm a bad guy. I only do dirty jobs like this one. I've done too many bad things to be able to lead a normal life. Hey, if I can do it, so can you. Well, if you want to turn over a new leaf, drop by at my office. We'll talk. I don't think you're keeping your hands that clean either, Curator. Well, I'll keep that in mind. Don't expect anything, though. Can you tell me more about the island? Any minor details are helpful. Anything else comes to mind? I don't think I know anything else. No, wait. Come to think of it, for some reason the research on this island suddenly stagnated 10 years ago. Apparently the flow of materials such as special chemicals that were using slowed to a trickle, but I don't know why. 10 years ago? Does that mean something happened at that time? Perhaps they ran out of money. No, prostitution and the organ trade continued at the same levels as before, and there were plenty of clients. It's unlikely they ran out of money. If that's the case then, what could have slowed down the research? The disappearance of essential element used for research, or maybe an important researcher who went missing? It is possible that these murders are connected to that. Can the killer negotiate with the people from the mansion because they possess something that was lost, like a code? It is possible. If it would allow them to resume the research, they would definitely be interested in obtaining such a code. Maybe that's the unlock code they're after. But Raymond's gone, doesn't he own the place? It could be the reason why Vincent and his associates would revolt. But why was the killer able to obtain that unlock code in the first place? It remains a mystery. At any rate, I'm glad there's a possible connection between the research on this island and the killer. That's everything? Tell me what you were doing before and after Thomas's murder. I want to hear the details. Before I went to the dining hall, I was drinking in the lounge with Jacob. That idiot couldn't keep his mouth shut after a few drinks. It was a real fount of information. I see, you're spending time with Jacob. I thought that Jacob kept you there against your will, but it was actually the other way around. It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. He appeared to be quite in a drunken state, and I was only pretending to drink, so that it wouldn't interfere with my mission. So what happened after that? Abby, the maid, told us that the food was ready, so we went to the dining hall. Didn't you arrive rather late? If I remember correctly, you were the last guest to arrive in the dining hall. Right, Neneko? Yes, you're right. Come to think of it, I thought I'd quickly run back to the guest room building. I went to the bridge, but I noticed the heavy iron door there was closed. I figured that opening would take too much time, so I just went back to the dining hall instead. I don't know if he was waiting for me or just took his time in the bathroom, but I ran into Jacob again, and we went to the dining hall together. That's it. I see, so the iron door was closed. Was there anything unusual about the corridor? Unusual? Nothing in particular. No, come to think of it, I think the iron doors were open at first. Does that mean someone closed them? The iron doors were open. When was that? I was disgusted by Jacob's drinking, so I pretended I had to go back to my room to adjust my makeup. What time was it? It was before Abby told us about lunch, so it had to be sometime before everyone gathered in the dining hall. Sometime before everyone got together in the dining hall. So the doors were open at that time. However, when I went to the corridor later on, the doors were closed again. Seems to be the case. Someone must have lowered the doors. Someone lowered the iron doors. There must have been a reason for that. Why would anyone need to close those doors? Did you notice anything about the cause of death or the murders of Thomas and Sir Raymond? If you're asking me about my autopsies, I was taking them very seriously. I wasn't hiding anything. Thomas burned to death and Sir Raymond died of blood loss after he was tortured. Thomas burned to death somewhere where there wasn't any fire. Sir Raymond was cautious, but ended up being murdered anyway. From the perspective of an undercover investigator, what do you think? Sorry, but I don't really know what to think. The way I see it, the circumstances surrounding Thomas's murder were very strange indeed. And although Sir Raymond was extremely vigilant, he was killed. But if the killer is a trained assassin, they would have overpowered him with ease. Sir Raymond probably had a gun or some kind of communication device. I don't think he would have had any time to use any of them though. One more thing, Rael. Did you hear any strange moaning after you arrived on the island and were escorted to your room? A strange moaning? Yes, I think I did. It sounded like the useless screaming of a half-witted girl. I forgot about his screams. Didn't you hear anything else? A man's groans, for example? A man's groans? No, I don't think I did, but is this connected to any of the murders? I'm only guessing here, but I think Sir Raymond was captured and killed around the same time we were shown to our rooms. He was tied up and drugged, and after that, all the killer had to do was torture and kill him. The killer seems to have harbored quite a grudge against him. But was he tortured in the same room we found his body in? I wonder. Even if the killer was a professional, I don't think Sir Raymond would fall into such an obvious trap. If you were Sir Raymond, what would catch you off guard? Someone who wasn't supposed to be there. That could have caught him by surprise. I see, someone who should not have been there. Who could the killer be? My guess is that it'd be a trained assassin. That's all I have to say about that. Have you heard enough? Rael, would you happen to know a girl called Aurora? Aurora? Who's that? What does she look like? She's blonde with blue eyes, wears a big blue ribbon in her hair. There's someone on this island who looks like that? I don't remember seeing her, but could she have survived what they did to the girls in this mansion? Well, if you don't remember, forget about it. Perhaps you shouldn't ask Rael about Aurora. Rael doesn't remember her either. If she was a virtual character created by that computer, it's only natural that none of the other guests do remember her. Why did Alex react like that when I mentioned her name? I wonder. Never mind. I want to ask you one last thing. I find it hard to believe that an undercover investigator like you doesn't have a way to get in touch with the outside world. Are you hiding anything? All communications from the island are monitored, and they've also set up several jammers. It's not possible to contact the outside world with regular communication equipment. So what you're saying is that it's possible with special equipment. Well, I have an optical wireless communication device. It can communicate directly with satellites by using a high-powered laser. This will avoid any jammers on the island, and there's no way the communications can be intercepted. But this device has a major drawback. It can't be used if there's too much cloud cover. Not too bad for a stupid little girl. Exactly. It's not a big deal in a normal area, but in the Aleutian it's a problem. There's cloud cover all year round, so it can't be used to communicate with often. Since we arrived on this island, I haven't been able to use it even once. And even then, the beam needs to be focused precisely, making it very difficult to use. Still, good to have in case of emergency. Yes, it would be really nice not to be dead by then. Also, without conclusive evidence that those weapons are being developed here, no one will be coming for us. The risk is too high. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So, Curator, do you really think we can survive this? Judging from the cold-blooded ways each of the dead have been murdered, we're dealing with a professional assassin. Oh, and let's not forget about that creature. Hey, I'm doing everything I can. And if things really go south, we could always try the healing power of prayer. Stop joking around. What good would a prayer do? I've seen enough darkness and evil in my life. If there was a god, the world would be a little bit less wretched. And if God does exist, he doesn't get involved in anything, so he might just as well not exist. Burn. So I don't pray to God. I know I'm the only one looking out for myself. Welcome to the wonderful world of sarcasm. I don't mean everything I say so literally, you know. She reminds me of someone. Come to think of it, your office is in New York, isn't it? Can you see the Manhattan skyline from there? What's this all of a sudden? Yeah, my office has a great night view of it. Curator, if you don't stop lying, the demon will rip your tongue out. Actually, I'm bending the truth a little, but I do know a few places from where you can see the skyline at night. I see. The Manhattan skyline, I've never seen it with my own eyes. If I die, but you make it out of here, please scatter my ashes there. I don't have any friends or family. I'd rather be put to rest there than 6 feet under. Enough gloomy talk. Also, you can't see the skyline if all that's left of you is some ashes. Come to New York in one piece instead. I don't want to carry around your urn. I don't think all of us will be getting out of off this island alive. It's alright, if you die and I survive, I'll scatter your ashes in the East River. It's very kind of you, but we're all getting out of here alive. We can have breakfast in Manhattan, hamburgers for lunch, dinner in Brooklyn at night, and finally, drinks at a bar. And the East River won't have to be polluted with any of our ashes. I guess that's something to look forward to. Alright, we need to wrap this one up because we are totally out of time for today, but now we know who Wizards is. I'm surprised I guessed it right. I mean, I sat there and I drew up the table and narrowed it down. It had to be her or Akira, and I didn't realize that Akira was in the room with Nanako when we were talking to him last time. That would have made it a lot easier. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for getting out for me, and I'll see you in the next one.